What's up, everyone? My name is Justin Odisho. Welcome back to another episode of the podcast. I'm actually kind of losing track. I think this is number 23.
Wow.
I think 22 or 23. I'll bleep it out and figure out what it is. But today we have a very exciting guest, Brian Barczyk, right?
You're 100% right. You
I knew that would be hard for most people.
No,
but
you got it. It looks horrible, but it sounds easy. You know, it's like Barczyk.
Yeah. At first I thought it was like Barczyk.
Yep.
But Brian is from quite a different world than I'm used to. He's into breeding animals, snakes, reptiles. Yep. There's an alligator right behind me. I just held it. You guys should check out both of our Instagram. I have a picture of it. But he's also from a similar world as me because he's been making videos and he's utilizing YouTube and Instagram and social media to build his platform and just document his journey. And he's kind of been doing his own passion and career for a long time. So I mean, just some numbers, like he's gotten hundreds of millions of views across 2 really successful channels. He's started a daily vlog channel that's kind of been doing really well in the past couple of years, collaborated with some of the biggest YouTubers like the FaZe Clan, David Dobrik, Logan Paul, all these people. So whether or not you care about breeding snakes or you're scared of snakes, I think that there's a lot we could touch on in this interview and a lot of very useful and valuable information. So, Brian, thank you so much for inviting me here and coming on the podcast.
Well, no, it's my pleasure. I mean, like I had mentioned to you when we talked, I've been following your stuff. As a matter of fact, I started daily vlogging about 2 years ago, and that's when I took over.
You could hold it a little bit closer. Sorry, I'll cut that out.
I started daily vlogging about 2 years ago, and before that I had an editor for my videos. So for 8 years I put out a weekly show called SnakeBytesTV. And that was on my first channel, and I had an editor and a camera guy. And when I went to daily vlogging, I decided I was going to be the camera guy and I was going to be the editor. And I didn't really know a lot about editing, so I found you actually a couple years ago, and you really helped me on my journey how to tell the story of my daily life. So it's all my pleasure to have you here and introduce you to our world and talk about how those worlds collide, because they really do.
Yeah, I agree. And I didn't even know, like, you're right in my backyard, and it's so cool that it's hard, I mean, we don't live in LA or New York, and so it can be kind of sporadic when we're in Michigan, so it can be kind of sporadic. And that's one thing I actually wanted to touch on is I feel like the way we got in touch is you emailed me a while back.
Yep.
Just kind of just like, hey, thanks, I like what you're doing. We should connect on something someday. Check out my stuff too. And I thought your stuff was really cool, but at the time I was strictly doing like screen recorded tutorials, and I didn't really have any platforms to, I couldn't figure out how this would be, how I could make a collaboration out of this, although I wanted to. Then you emailed me again like a couple weeks ago or a week ago, and it's been about a year or so, and since then I've started this podcast. I've experimented with vlogs and live streams and different stuff, and it's been a way to now I can collaborate with anyone and just have a conversation with them. And I feel like you understand the value of collaborating, and that's something I wanted to touch on just now, because you've collaborated with all these big people. So what advice can you give, and what's your mentality on it? Well,
I think that success in social media, and in particular YouTube, is really, I always say it comes down to 3 C's, right? It's consistency, it's content, and it's collaboration. Those, if you can really own those 3 C's, and content always has to be great, whether it's tutorials or me running around, wrangling the craziest animals on the planet, or whatever it is. Content has to be great. Consistency is important. If you're going to put out 1 video a week, you need to put out 1 video a week. If you're going to put out 1 video a day, and I've been one thing in my 10 years of YouTubing, and that's consistent. I put out 8 years of every Wednesday, never missing a Wednesday, and now I'm 618 days into a vlog, and so consistency is important. But then the collaboration is really important, because it introduces your content to a new audience. But what you have to remember about collaboration, like you had mentioned, I've been very fortunate to be able to provide content through my wildlife to some of the biggest YouTubers on the platform, right? And Instagrammers as well, Amanda Cerny and the likes. And you have to bring something to the table, right? So you don't have to. I don't look at like the numbers. I don't go like, oh, I'm only going to collaborate with people plus 1 million or plus 5 million. I look at it as what can we do together? And sometimes some of the smaller collabs I've done with sub 100,000 subs, sometimes sub 20,000 subs, have been some of the best, collaborations I've done. But when you do go to the bigger channels, the 1 million plus, the 5 million plus, the 10 million plus channels, you have to remember they're looking for content, right? Like every day they wake up and they say, what story can I tell my audience today? What's going to go viral? What's going to, please my audience? And so as a smaller YouTuber, which in most cases, most of my collabs, I'm the smaller YouTuber, I have to know that I'm bringing something to the table. And what I'm bringing is great content. I'm going to bring out a big snake. I'm going to bring out an alligator. Yeah. I'm going to get David Dobrik some grizzly bear cubs, whatever the case is. And then once that happens, their audience hopefully is introduced to your world. It's a little bit tricky, right? Because, sometimes you have a very finite amount of time in their video to get people to say, I want to go attach myself to that guy or that channel. So it doesn't always work. And then there's also like the value of like crossover, right? So not every collaboration you're going to do has the right crossover, Mm-hmm. Obviously, I've done some stuff with Java Juice Roy and EvanTube. And those crossovers maybe didn't work as well because their audience was so different than someone that would probably want to watch my content. But mm-hmm. collaboration is such a huge part of it. But and we talked briefly about this. It's not only about what you get from it. It's also about the relationship. I go back to the EvanTube and the Java Juice Roy. I may not have gained a lot of subs and followers from those collabs, but I gained relationships and those things. So now I know Roy well. I know EvanTube's dad, Jared, well, and you never know what that's going to do in the future. As a matter of fact, we're about to launch a product line that has nothing to do with animals. In both Java Juice Roy and EvanTube are going to be huge parts of hopefully marketing this product. And if I wouldn't have collaborated with them, I may never have had the opportunity.
Yeah, I think that you touched on so many valuable key points that I always try to mention that I've found myself too, because this is a new venture, this is a new podcast, and I've found that it doesn't matter. I've collaborated with people like a year ago, and I thought, yes, this is going to be like such a good video, but what ended up happening was what was way more valuable than that couple thousand views we got mm-hmm. was I ended up having a relationship with this person, and then in the future we both develop new branches of business and content, and we end up having a relationship where I can call on them and say, hey, you're doing that cool new thing now, I'm doing this, we can help each other in different ways. So
well, relationships are all everything. I as a matter of fact, I'm not a big believer necessarily in New Year's resolutions, but on the first of this year, I proclaimed that this year was about relationships for me. Mm-hmm. Like I a good friend of mine, very, very successful business person, once told me, I'm not in the business of selling what I sell. I'm in the business of creating relationships, and I think that's so important. And as YouTubers and social media, influencers, it's so important to have those relationships, because you don't know what's coming down the pike, and you don't know when someone says, man, I need a Python for a music video. Yeah. And man, I know the guy, and, exactly. And now you're pulled in, and next thing you know, you're hanging with Snoop Dogg or something, Exactly. And so I think that if you're looking at it really narrowly.
Is that a true story? That you just referenced?
Yeah, that was not a true story. Actually, okay. Some friends of mine are good friends with Snoop, but it wasn't my story.
I just wanted to make sure it wasn't hypothetical.
I would love that to happen, but we've had crazy stuff similar to that, but I think that you never want to be really narrow-minded with your thinking. If everything you do is only like, what am I going to gain from this, then you're probably not going to be that successful. You know what I mean? You just need to enjoy the ride. If it's something you really enjoy and can share your passion with stuff, it'll all work out. And not everything relates to numbers and dollars and cents. If that was the case, why would we be doing this? You know what I mean? Yeah. It's we've all started this because we're passionate about sharing a story, whatever that story is. Your story is about, production and editing and After Effects, whatever the case is. Mine is about animals and the love of animals, and not only the love of animals but the love of life. I wake up every day trying to inspire people to live their life to their fullest, whether they're playing with a deadly animal or they're punching a clock at work. It's about doing that, and that's ultimately what the daily vlog is, right? for me, it's about, again, creating curiosity, creating inspiration for people to enjoy their life, and hopefully people look at me and say, "Oh my God, that guy's crazy, but he's always happy. He's always smiling," and which isn't always the case, but I try my best.
Yeah. No. Yeah. You seem like very positive and happy in your vlogs, and someone who doesn't even care about animals could still just enjoy seeing somebody pursue something they're passionate about, because it's contagious. But yeah, I like how you mentioned approaching relationships from different perspectives, like when you're the smaller creator trying to bring value to someone who may have a lot more going on, or when you're the bigger creator trying to reach out and build a relationship. So yeah, I mean, we talked a lot about that, but I think it's very important, and it's something that even now I think I know the value of it, but even now I could be practicing better. But you mentioned like you've been doing this for, you said, almost 10 years. Or I'd love to hear
over 10 years. Yeah.
I'd love to hear, first of all, like a little bit of like your upbringing and how you even became so interested in animals and wildlife, because not everyone loves snakes and alligators, and then how that kind of transitioned into video and like making video online, because
it's crazy. First off, like I always say this, and I could be completely crazy, but I always say, like, you're born with an animal gene sometimes, and I was born with it. Like, I wasn't raised around animals. I didn't have anyone in my family that loved even dogs or cats, for that matter. But literally my first ever memory as a kid was my mom told me I was 2 years old, and I remember it like it was yesterday, and that was at the Belle Isle Zoo here in Detroit, and it was of a ball python. And I remember, again, she said I was 2 years old when she took me there, and I've just been obsessed. I've been obsessed with dinosaurs. I was obsessed with reptiles. I was obsessed with all animals ever since I can remember. And again, I didn't have pets as a kid. I didn't have a dog. I didn't have a cat. I didn't have a fish. And my family wasn't like anti-animal, but they just weren't really into them, And here I was kind of out on my island just like obsessed, And so my whole life I knew somehow, some way I wanted to be around animals. I didn't know what that meant. I didn't know what that was going to be, what career it was going to be. And really, when I was young and in my teens, I started breeding a couple snakes. There wasn't really money, and no one did it for a living. There was no snake breeders as a living, a professional snake breeder. I started breeding a couple snakes to hopefully, sell a few things off here to help me pay my way through college. That was the whole idea. Maybe I can make a few bucks to pay my way through college. And I went to college for microbiology. And by the time I was in my second year of college, I was literally making more money breeding snakes than I could ever as my career. So I thought, and right around that time, people started like quitting their jobs and becoming snake breeders of all weird things, reptile breeders.
When was this?
It was probably like the mid 90s.
Yeah.
Right around the mid 90s is when that started. Well, maybe even early 90s when that started happening.
I'm sure there's inklings of it like for a long time, but who's in the market for a snake, and how do you even breed a snake? Do you buy eggs online or something?
It's not that difficult. I mean, it's literally just, knowing which male and female to put together and giving them the right conditions. They do all the work. We just give them the environment to do it. And but it's funny, again, going back to the early 90s, it was a niche thing, really niche thing. Like it was, a closet thing. Almost, you didn't tell anyone. It was like whispers, right? Like, I breed snakes for a living.
Is it like legal or illegal?
It was totally legal, 100% above board, no black market on it and stuff. I mean, sure there is, but I was never involved in it. But it was pretty minor. Now it's become a phenomenon. I mean, now there's estimates of up to 10 million people in the United States alone that keep reptiles. So it's definitely changed a lot in those years, and I've been fortunate to kind of ride the wave of that. And so for many years, all I really wanted to do was breed snakes, sell snakes, so that I could keep working with snakes. I mean, it wasn't about the money. It was about just being able to continue to do stuff. As a matter of fact, a guy I once knew said, "The fruits of our labor are our labor." Which basically means, hey, man, we what we get from it is we can continue to do it. And that's what it was. And then, believe it or not, I tell you the quick story, or somewhat quick story, because I ramble a lot. But probably 11 years or so ago, I was sitting on the couch with my wife, Lori, and I saw American Chopper on Discovery Channel. And I was like, our life is just as exciting as this guy. I mean, listen, I'm dealing with snakes and alligators and lizards and traveling all over the world selling snakes to rock stars and TV stars and professional athletes. And I mean, I live a crazy life. We should do a show about this. And so it just so happened I know a lot of people, so I got in touch with someone that knew someone that was in Discovery Channel. And just so happens that the contact that was in Discovery Channel was leaving the network and starting a production company. And the first thing was I just thought maybe we'd do a TV show. Well, TV isn't easy, I mean, it really isn't. And I've done some. I had a series on Discovery Channel last year called Venom Hunters, and been on Spike TV and True TV and all over the place. But regardless, things just weren't working out there. And there was a guy named Fred Seibert, who was actually the owner of the cartoon named Fairly Odd Parents. I don't know if you remember, Fred.
Of course, that's my childhood.
There you go. Well, Fred owns that cartoon amongst many other cartoons. Well, Fred kind of around the way heard that I was trying to look for a TV show. Well, Fred, this is now 6-8 months after YouTube started, so no one really knew what YouTube was going to be.
It's like 2005, 2006.
Yeah, 2006, 2007 era. And he reached out to me and said, "Hey, we're starting a company called Next New Networks, and it's going to be an online video company that manages video series on YouTube." And he said, "We'd love to have you as a Snake show." And so I was intrigued, but I didn't know much about it. And the thing was, he called them predators. He said, "We need predators, producer editors, that you produce your own stuff, you edit your own stuff, and then we pay you per minute." It was $100 a minute. He said, "We want you to do a 5-minute to 7-minute show per week. We'll pay you $500 to $700. Now I was really intrigued because I thought, well, although I want to do TV, this is maybe a good practice for me to do television, right? And so I thought, let's do it. I didn't know anything about cameras. I certainly didn't know anything about editing back in the day. But we found people that could help us out. And then for 8 years, we did some TV stuff. But for 8 years, every Wednesday, we put out a show about snakes and about reptiles and about travel. But it was a very presented show, right? I was the host. It was presented. You didn't see my family. You didn't see much else like that. And it was good. I mean, like I said, never missed not one show for actually it's almost 8.5 years. And that's kind of how I went from being an animal guy to being social media video guy, is that transition. And I found I fell in love with it. As much as I love the animals, I love the video side, and I love the social media side, and that's kind of where it went from there. And then to wrap this up was, again, about 2 years ago, what had happened was a lot of these bigger YouTubers would come visit me, to do content. Maybe they'd be here with me for 2 or 3 days, and every single one of them would always say things like, "Brian, you have to daily vlog, dude. Your life is ridiculous." Like, they're like, "We wake up and have to find stuff to do. You have stuff every day." They're like, "I've never seen a crazier life than yours. You have to daily vlog." And I guess after 6 or 8 months of hearing it over and over and over again from very successful YouTubers, I thought, let's give it a go, and that's ultimately where I found you, because I needed to learn how to edit because I had an editor, and I just went for it, and now here we are, again, 2 years later, almost 2 years later, and haven't missed a day, and it's been an amazing experience, an amazing ride.
Yeah, I'd say you're classic success story of the YouTuber that started daily vlogging around that time 2 years ago, and kind of blew up their channel for it, and then reaped a lot of good benefits. So you kind of had to take it into your own hands there, learn how to edit. But you've been in this for a long time then, so you've seen it transition, like you said, from 2006 was more polished. I understand exactly what you're saying. 2006 was more just basically TV, but put it on YouTube.
Yeah.
Whereas nowadays, you've seen it transition into you holding the camera, selfie style. Here's my wife. Here's my family.
Yeah.
Here's this and that. I mean, would you say, a lot of people like to compare old media versus new media, TV, and you've done both, TV versus online media. Some people say TV is already dead. Some people say this is the future already here. What, how do you see it? Do you think this is
I think
the future?
I think, obviously, being that I've been, I always say, I always have this dream to be the guy that bridges old world, new world media. I still have that dream. And you got to remember that old world TV is completely different than new world media, right? YouTube. And the people that fail don't see the difference, right? So when I was on Discovery Channel, I wasn't the same guy as I am daily. Daily is I always say is the best version of me, right? I want it to be me, genuinely me, but I want it to be the best version of that genuine me, right? Whereas TV is a character. You're not really that guy. I mean, you still bring the genuine mentality to it. You're not fake, but there, listen, I was a venom hunter, right? So I was searching the world for venom snakes. I don't do that for a living. I never will do that for a living. But that was a character that a network just, wanted me to be. And it's almost like you're acting in a way. But my point is that I wanted to be the guy that could be old world and new world, to bridge that gap. And I still have that fantasy. Yeah. That being said, because I've been in many, many meetings, not only with Discovery Channel's execs, but many other things. And I love them, by the way. Discovery was great. They treated me great. I have nothing but good things to say about my experience. But they are so antiquated. They really are. They don't understand the new world. They don't understand that they understand that they need to understand. They just don't know how to understand. Yeah. And the people that are in place don't understand it well enough to really know how to transition to this new world. And listen, the ratings are going down the tubes. I mean, now a number one show on most evenings on cable it maybe pulls like a 1.2 Nielsen ratings, which means 1.2% of the TVs in the country are watching, essentially is what it is. It's, again, very antiquated system because it's only based on a small number of Nielsen families that are kind of expanded. It's ridiculous when you hear it. It's not like they're actually taking the cable box. Like when I was on TV, a lot of my friends say, oh, well, I just leave it watching. And I go, well, they don't count you anyways. You're not a Nielsen family, There's several, a few thousand Nielsen families across the country, and those Nielsen families are like the demographic that they say, all right, well, if we have one Nielsen family that relates to 100,000 normal people, which is a bummer.
Do they know that they're a Nielsen family?
Yeah, you do. You have to apply for it. You get paid about $10 a month to be a Nielsen family. So you have to watch X amount of. You have to have I think three TVs that have individual boxes on them, and you have to watch I think at least 5 hours of TV a day as a family. And so it's a weird system.
Sounds like a good job.
But yeah, you don't get paid nothing though. But my point is that 1.2% of the population that owns TVs are watching the number one rated show. 10 years ago, if you pulled a 1.2, you'd get canceled, and now you're the number one show. Now it's like you're doing good if you're a 0.4, 0.5. Yeah. And I know I just kind of went way over everyone's head there, but my point is that TV's ratings are dropping because of the internet, because of Netflix, because of Hulu, because of YouTube. Yeah. Just recently I saw that YouTube is now has more eyeballs than all other media combined.
Yeah,
so all other media,
something like that.
Yeah, all
they have
other
YouTube TV starting.
Yeah, there's YouTube TV, but I mean, literally YouTube. More people are watching YouTube, and I was just in South Africa just a couple days ago, and like that country is just now starting to really get YouTube crazy because up until recently they didn't have the broadband to really consume it. Right? Yeah. Now they're getting, fiber optic cable and they're starting to consume YouTube, and it's becoming more and more popular. So the world is still expanding, and that world is still good. So, but I love traditional media. I always will, but I live on social and new world media. And I've quite frankly, I've been turning traditional media down quite a bit lately because it just doesn't make any sense. Now, financially, the timeline that it takes, I mean, you'll work on a series for 8-10 months. I can do the same thing in 8 or 10 days online. Yeah. So. And
when you, talk about guys like yourself and like David Dobrik and these type of people, and they put a vlog up every day that's getting millions of views, and you're getting millions of hits. Yeah. And like you have videos with tens of millions of hits. Yeah. So it's like, I don't think that some TV shows are pulling 1 million views every day. So it's but it doesn't feel like David Dobrik is like, because it's just one person watching on YouTube. So you don't feel like you're watching this big production, but when you think about it, he's really pulling like a very powerful audience.
Did over 100 million views last month, David did. Yeah. So think about that, 100 million. I mean, the best shows, Gold Rush, when it was number one show on Discovery Channel, was pulling about 3 million views. So that's 4 shows a month. They're pulling maybe 12 million views a month. He's pulling 100 million views in a month. And that's what I just had a conversation with History Channel just recently about a show they wanted us to do. And that's what I told them. I said, it's hard for me pulling 15 million views a month right now on my channel to come and do you for 3 million views a month.
They want to take you away from...
Yeah, they want to take... And that's what... Now, fortunately, when I was with Discovery Channel, I remember talking to the attorney for Discovery Channel when they were talking contracts, and she called me up and I said, we can end this conversation right now if you want me to stop YouTubing. And she was like, what? And I said, yeah. I go, if you want me to stop YouTube, and we don't even have to talk any further, we can just be done.
Yeah.
And she goes, well, tell me more. And I told her what I did. And she said, well, the way I look at it, I think she actually put me on hold. She goes, let me get back to you in a second. Came back and said, well, I talked to everyone here, and we feel it's a pre-existing business, and we can't really stop you from doing a pre-existing business.
Yeah.
And so they allowed me to continue to YouTube while I did the show. Of course, I couldn't film behind the scenes of the show, but I was able to film other things while I was traveling. And what I really want to do, when I talked about old world, new world, I always have this thing about I would love a network to allow me to film behind the scenes.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, let me show them how this show is made. Let me take my audience on that journey, how this show is made. Then they can watch the finished product and go, wow, I remember when they filmed that. I remember when this happened. We had some amazing things happen. As a matter of fact, one of my favorite things when we were in Alice Springs, Australia, my producer's name was Arenzo, and he was in the back of a production truck, and we had a western brown snake escape. Now, this is like 12th deadliest snake on the planet. It escaped in the back of the van. And so while we were driving down this dirt road, we had thought maybe it had gotten out of the van. It's horrible to let a snake like that loose. But we thought it had gotten out of the van, and we're driving down this road. It was just him in the back and me and one of our fixers up front. And all of a sudden we hear him scream. And the snake was actually in the roof of the car, and it was bouncing on his head. Now, this is the 12th most deadly snake on the planet. We throw it in park, we run out, we open the door. He falls out on the ground, screaming and yelling. We catch the snake. It was probably one of the most exciting events that happened on that entire trip. And we did have it on a cell phone, but we couldn't use it. Like, no, the network wouldn't let us post on social. Network wouldn't post it. My point is that would have been a great behind the scenes that I think people would have really loved to see. Like, oh my God, it's almost just as dangerous for, I had one of my camera guys kneel on a bag with a deadly snake in it, and he just didn't, he's filming, so he's focused on me, and he kneels down. Well, people get bit through bags all the time, and he was filming me, and I stopped him. I said, dude, stand up for me right now. And he's like, no, keep going. I go, no, you need to stand up, man. And he stood up and he looked down and he just went white, so these are all things that could have been great things that we could have used. So I always have that fantasy that one day a network will see how beneficial that could be.
Yeah.
To show the behind the scenes, take you on the journey of what it's like to be, not only to film something like that, but to be the quote unquote talent, in front of the camera. But right now, networks aren't ready for that. Yeah. They're just not ready for it.
I think the ones that do see the vision of the creators, the platforms that do see the vision, are going to be the ones that are going to win from it and be early. But you bring up something that's actually very crucial, especially because a lot of people that are listening to this are either creators now or aspiring creators. There's many maybe vloggers that are trying to learn how to edit their videos. Yeah. And it's something that comes up a lot is, I would say you run a very successful daily vlog. And there's all these questions that come up about it, like, should I daily vlog? Is daily vlogging over? Should I do weekly? Or like, what do I vlog? Or how do I grow as a vlogger? Because for me, it's easy. I do how-to content.
Sure.
So a lot of my traffic comes in through search, like you found me. And I don't know exactly, like, I couldn't say exactly how I would bring people into a vlog. Yeah. I do have the theory, though, that it's like you're running your whole own business here already. You already had a life of animal breeding and all this exciting stuff going on. And then your vlog, like you said, is showing the behind the scenes of your already existing life. Yeah. But a lot of people are starting vlogs and the vlog is their vlog is like their show, so they're not showing something else.
Right.
Do you get what I'm saying?
Totally
and what do you have to
saying.
Do you have any like?
Yeah, I think that again it goes back to content, right? So washing the dishes probably. Casey Neistat can be pretty exciting washing dishes. Yeah. But you have to be really talented to make something as mundane as going to the store exciting, right? So there's something that I believe. You'll find I have many concepts and sayings. I say content grabs people, characters keep people, right? So what you want to have good content, but then you have to have good character. Now, I've always said, this is another thing I'll say, is that from TV to internet, these are the two things. You want one of two emotions. You want, when you're making the emotion to the audience, you want one of two emotions. You want One emotion would be, man, that dude would be awesome to have a beer with, man. I'd love to go out and just hear his stories. Or I want to punch that guy in the face. You want those two emotions. I don't want to be the guy that gets punched in the face, but it can work because you're grabbing an emotion from the audience. If you're in the middle where your character is just like, yeah, he seems like an okay guy, whatever, you're probably not going to continue to grab. The thing that I was about you was that you were a good orator, you were a good educator. Your character of what you taught me. There's tons of YouTube videos about editing, right? But I wanted someone that I could understand. I could understand what you were thinking. Not just what you were telling me, but what you were thinking. And that's why I was gravitated to you. It was the character behind it, not the content behind it. I can find other content that tells me the exact same thing that you tell me, but I wanted the character behind it. So as a daily vlogger, as someone is aspiring to be a daily vlogger or a weekly vlogger, whatever the case may be, that's what you have to grab onto. You have to have the character that people want to do. Why would they want to follow you? Why is it? What are you giving them that makes them go, well, yeah, this is a guy I want to follow? And the other thing, then you've got to understand that, like, what is the platform about? What's going on with YouTube or Facebook or Instagram or whatever the platform you're going for? And what you have to understand is it's all algorithmic, right? I mean, that's what you have. And no one understands the algorithm. Anyone that says they understand it is probably lying, because the algorithm changes by the second. You know, I mean, it literally is an automated, change.
Machine learning.
And I've even talked to Google employees that have told me they don't even know what. And these are algorithm Google employees that tell me we don't even know what the algorithm is, because it changes. It's something like 700,000 points in the algorithm. Some crazy number like that.
Yeah, like learns on top of itself.
Yeah, it learns on top. Constantly is learning and learning and learning and learning. So anyways, my point is, but we do know some key things. We know that
we know how people work,
Well, we know that, number one, but we also know that watch time is the number one thing on YouTube, right? We know that's the important algorithm is watch time. And what better way to get watch time than to put out content every day? Now, there's other things like audience retention that plays a role. There's, keywords and search engines and all this stuff. Again, what you have to remember, you brought up earlier, is that you really have a few different ways to get noticed on YouTube. You have search, which is just your SEO. If I search, Premiere Pro, I want to be as high up in that SEO as possible. Yeah. You have related, and then you have recommended, right? So if you're recommended for whatever reason, you're watching videos and it says, hey, I recommend this snake guy, that's what I want. Then you have the suggested, which is going to be right beside your, on the right side of your thing, you're going to see the suggested, which is basically like, hey, you're watching a video, this is a similar video. And those are the three things. So what you want to do is and then you got to remember too, that once you do all that right, and you get suggested, you get recommended, you get SEOs, now you got to grab someone's attention with a good thumbnail and a good title. And that's all we have. And people talk about, David Dobrik, who is obviously a very dear friend of mine, uses clickbait. That's his brand. His brand is clickbait.
I always say it's like one of the only YouTuber merches that I'd actually wear, because I'm a kind of a YouTuber and it's like funny. Yeah,
it's clickbait. I mean, he owns it, right? Yeah. But the fact is that whether you want to believe it or want to do it, clickbait is what grabs people, period. If you have a very mundane, boring title, you're not going to get noticed. Even if you do everything right and you're in the search, you're in the recommended, you're in the suggested, why are people going to click on your video? Now, you don't want to lie to people.
Yeah, I was going to say, define clickbait, because a lot of people just heard what you said and they think that goes against their morals, and so there's define it.
Yeah, so there's two different ways of looking at clickbait. There is taking the most sensational title of the truth that's happening in the video, and then there's all out lying.
Yeah.
Never lie to your audience. Ever lie. As a matter of fact, Casey Neistat, who I brought up, who's one of my big mentors, he always said that I want to take you as close as I can to maybe lying, but never cross that line. He goes, I never want to cross that line, but I always want to take you to the edge, So you always want to make sure when someone watches that video, even if they go, man, that was kind of a clickbait thing, they're like, but he did do it.
Yeah.
Today's video is called, lion attacked. Never turn your back on a lion, which is true. And I did turn my back on a lion and it did attack, but I had a fence in between.
Yeah.
Right. So those things happened. And my thumbnail did have a fence too. So it wasn't like I didn't have the fence there. People that saw my thumbnail wouldn't think, oh my God, Brian lied to me. I souped it up. I sensationalized
Yeah.
it. But if you lie to someone, there's no better way to lose your audience than to lie to somebody.
Yeah.
If you go like, look at these, blah 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 blah. I mean, that you will lose an audience quicker than you can possibly do. People hate being lied to, and so but you have to still make it sensational. You still have to make it like for you. You do a lot of top 5 this,
and that's what works best on my like those videos get the most views. 5 different this.
And that's sensational in a way, I mean, it's true.
It's a classic headline.
Yeah, it's a BuzzFeed headline. I mean,
I read this. There's this ebook. I forgot who wrote it or like where I found it, but it was called like 101 killer headlines or something, and they go through all the classic headlines ever since like the 20s, since people were writing newspapers, and you have like your categories, like just the basic how to this is a killer. The top 5 this, and then you also have the ones that play on people's emotions a little bit, like never turn your back on this, or you make sure you never want to do this around a snake or whatever things. So you have all these different categories, and there's not just one answer. But I think the type of style that you're talking about does work good for when you're just making a vlog, and there's perhaps 12 different things that happen in one video, and you're trying to make sure it's the most captivating.
You're taking the best, most sensational part of that vlog, and you're putting it out there. But again, not lying. You never want to do that. But sensationalism is just what. And listen, I wish it wasn't the case, but it is. I mean, and if you don't, again, you can try to take the high road, and you're probably going to lose. I mean, I can't think of one YouTuber that has been unbelievably bland with his titles and thumbnails that has succeeded.
I could think of one, and he's a complete outlier.
Which is it?
Primitive Technology channel?
Oh, yeah.
But the thing is, his content is so unique.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
that he can.
It's like he doesn't have to.
He can title his video "Mud Hut."
Yeah,
but it's just like so shareable. So that just speaks to
and that is, you're right. That's a good example. But that in itself, it's almost like his content is sensational. I mean, it's because he's doing crazy stuff. Yeah, he's doing things that so he doesn't need to. And we do the same thing. I mean, there's often times that I don't like overly clickbait my titles because it really is crazy. You know what I mean? Like wrangling an 18-foot Nile crocodile, or something like that. It's like it happened. That's what we did. We don't need to sensationalize that. It actually happened, or bitten by this, I mean, I really did get bit by it, and but I think the thing is, if someone is aspiring to be, in particular, a daily vlogger, I think there's a couple things. Number one, you have to understand your platform. You have to understand. I mean, the more you know about what you're doing, the better you're going to be at it, right? So if you understand the algorithm as much as you can, you understand the do's and the do's and don'ts of doing that. But then on top of it, I always tell people, I didn't start my vlog because I thought I was going to get millions of views. I started my vlog because I wanted to. I had a need to document my life. It's something I wake up in the morning and I can't wait to do. Here 618 days into it, I still can't wait to vlog every day. You know what I mean? I wake up in the morning, I can't wait to turn the camera on. I can't wait to tell the story, what's going to happen. And we talked a little bit before we went on about how I don't plan anything. I'm not one of those guys that has a whiteboard that says, okay, Tuesday I'm doing this, Wednesday I'm doing this. I wake up in the morning and I let it come to me. Whatever it is, something's going to come to me and it's going to be awesome. You got
hundreds of living things here ready to
you
lay
never
an
know
egg or have a problem. Or
you don't know what's going to happen. You don't know what's going to happen, and you just keep your eyes open. And as a daily vlogger, again, if someone's aspiring to do that, just keep your eyes open. There's always amazing things happening around you, right? I mean, that's why I literally do not leave. I never go anywhere without a camera. I mean, 24/7, every minute of every day, I have a camera on me because I never know when something amazing is going to happen that might not have anything to do with animals. Sometimes I'll just be going along my way and something will happen that draws me in, and I say, visually, that's awesome. I want to share that, that opportunity. And, not just with out and about, but, I'll give you an example. My most popular video on my vlog channel was a video I almost didn't shoot. It was about an egg-bound snake.
Yeah,
and I almost didn't film it because
15 million views.
It's got 15 million views, and I literally, I don't know why I filmed it, because my head was, I don't want to show this. And I did it, and it became my most popular video. And that video, I honestly don't know. I should know because I'm a big analytics guy, but I don't know how many hundreds of thousands of subscribers that probably got me, you know?
Yeah.
And again, but that goes back to what I was saying about content and character. You can have a 15 million view video and not gain a lot of subscribers. You know, you got to bring the character into it. And when people watch it, they go, I want to watch more of this. Not just, I want to watch that one video. I want to watch more of these videos. And that's when you gain subscribers.
Yeah. Like you said, with suggested, it's not like, this is another thing that I think is really important, because like, you don't have to go daily, but the thing, like you said, is it's just a good way to make sure you're producing a piece of content every day. You're taking more swings at you're doing more at bats.
Yep.
And sometimes you just hit one out of the park on accident, and on top of that, you have all this collection of videos underneath that someone will stumble upon that one, and then they get a suggested, and the suggested, then they subscribe. So a lot of people like to be of the school of thought of quality over quantity, and it does work. It absolutely does. But I always say, just do as much as you can, best as you can.
As best you can. You don't want to be garbage, you know, because that goes back to content. If you make bad content, you're not going to do good. Yeah. You don't want to just put videos out just to put videos out. And listen, daily vlogging, I remember talking with Matthew Santora. I don't know if you know Matthew, but I remember talking with him, and he daily vlogged for about 6 months. And he told me he thought it was a terrible life. He said, I think it's unhealthy for people to daily vlog. I think that it is unhealthy for a lot of people. I don't think everyone is wired to daily vlog. I think it can be extremely taxing, you know. Again, my last day off was Thanksgiving of 2016. Wow. That's the last time I took a day off, period. I'm not talking just a day off from the vlog. I'm talking a day off where I didn't do something. I film every day. I don't bank videos for the future. I don't go, I need to vlog out 4 days and then take 4 days off. I do it every day. And that's not for everybody. And, you know, for a number of reasons. People usually can't keep the energy up. People need mentally. I remember the first 3 months I daily vlogged. It was hard. Like, once I got in the groove and I started really understanding, it took me 3 or 4 months before I figured it out. Like, all right, this is my groove. Yeah. That's not to say I don't struggle days. Of course I struggle some days. Some days I struggle. You know, the worst days to vlog are the days that you're in a bad mood. You know what I mean? Or something bad has happened in your life. You know, someone's sick, someone got in a car accident. So those are the hard days. You know, when things are going great, it's easy to vlog, you know, and you have to push yourself through the hard days as well. But I think that after 3 or 4 months, I got into kind of a groove. And if you notice with daily vloggers, a lot of them that stop for a short period of time never go back, right? So I think you almost have to keep the momentum going. You know, Charles Trippiett, right? You know, Charles is like on 1,100 days or 11,000 days. He's still got that streak going. It's been like 12 years straight without missing a day. Yeah, I just saw Charles a couple weeks. Yeah, I just saw him a couple weeks ago. He's a great guy, by the way. Yeah, I don't think, I'll be honest with you, I'm not going 10 years. I mean, there's no way. But I always tell people I go a year at a time. You know, now that I'm in this, I committed in 2017. I committed till the end of 2017. And I said at 2018, I'll make a decision. I made the decision in 2018. Now go to 2019. I'll make that decision next year again. My gut feeling is I'm not going to slow down. I love it too much. It's been the most amazing thing that's ever happened to me. But I'll decide that in 2019, you know. And I think the only change I could make, and I don't think it'll happen next year, but in the next few years I could see it potentially happening, is maybe going to 5 days a week instead of 7 days, so that you have a weekend or a break. Maybe not the weekend, but a couple of days. But I think my gut is I think I still have 2 or 3 years left. Yeah. As long as, but that being said, I'll go back to maybe Roman Atwood, for instance. You know.
Yeah, they and Casey, and they kind of switched up.
Yeah, I think that what happens is, like, Casey never hit the plateau, right? I mean, Casey always has been popular. Like Roman, and this is what I've been told by a number of successful vloggers, daily vloggers, is that when it's really difficult to move forward is when you've hit the peak and you start the downtrend. Yeah. You know, because now you're used to making 1.5 million views a video, and now you're doing 300,000, and it becomes mentally challenging. And to people probably watching, like, my God, to be happy with 300,000 views a video. Yeah. But I think once you hit that 1.5, 300's bad, you know, and it mentally messes you up. I don't know because I haven't hit my peak yet, and I haven't, I don't know like if that happens down the road. If all of a sudden people just go, all right, I'm sick of watching this guy, I hate this guy now.
Yeah.
Maybe then you go, all right, I got to stop, or I've got to move on to
evolve.
anything. And that's the other thing is, I have a guy named Greg Barrett, who's one of my managers. And do you know Dan Bazarian?
Yeah.
Yeah. So he was the guy that like made Dan Bazarian who he is, right? And so Greg is one of my managers, so I'm very, very lucky to have him. But he said he felt that you had to reinvent yourself every 5 years. He said you have about a 5-year window on YouTube to really do well, and then you better reinvent yourself. Now, that doesn't happen to everyone. But look at Charles Trippy as a great example. Charles was at one point in the top 5 most subscribed on YouTube. Now he barely makes it. I mean, he's not even doing 1 million views a month now, and that's probably from at his peak. He was probably doing 30, 40, 50 million a month, and he's a great guy. The videos, he's the same, and people are ready to move on. And that might just be that occasionally, I mean, look at Logan Paul.
There's so many factors.
Yeah. And I mean, Logan Paul's a great example of like, that fast pace. David Dobrik, again. I think David Dobrik is maybe one of the most talented 4-minute videos you'll ever watch.
Yeah.
I mean, he packs an entire day into 4 minutes.
Yeah.
And he does it well.
Yeah, it's something that like I personally I don't watch too many. Like I totally respect what Logan and Jake are doing from a business side. Sometimes though, after I like kind of watched it from like analyzing it from like a business perspective, like, oh, that's so cool. They're doing this thing. I don't personally like watch it as much unless it's something really crazy. But like David's vlogs is like entertaining for adults, kids.
Yeah, and I think the Pauls, who are both friends of mine. I think their audience is young. I think that it's harder for a 18 to 40-year-old person to say, oh, this is entertaining. I appreciate what they do because I think what they do is very good. Like their niche, they are nailing that niche. But like you said, I don't as much as I love Logan and Jake, I don't I know them as people, so I have a different perspective, right, than most people probably do. And they're good people. I mean, knowing them as a person, I know that they're not bad people, but I can understand why people don't like it, you know what I mean? I can understand. I mean, I couldn't imagine sitting down and watching their content and feeling like I was getting a lot out of it. Whereas, like you said, David's different. David is like, he pulls you into his world. And I will say this, I mean, I've worked with a ton of big name YouTubers, hands down, and this is no bash against any of the people I've worked with. Please, I hope they don't take it this way. The Dobrik clan, the Vlog Squad as they're known, is by far the best people. I mean, the best YouTubers I've ever met. I mean, to a number. I mean, from David to Liza to Toddy to you name it, Big Nick. I mean, all of them. These are quality people. And David's one of the few guys that he's owning the world right now. I mean, he is on fire, and he is so willing to help anybody, which is rare, you know what I mean? He will tag every video. He will promote your stuff. He will throw people. I mean, he's just I'm not just him, but the entire Vlog Squad are great people, seriously. So it's good to see him doing it so well and being so successful at it.
Yeah, there's so many.
Yeah, and it inspires me. I mean, guys like David and even the Pauls and the list just goes on and on. I mean, they inspire me to do more, I mean, they those are the people. I mean, it's really weird, and I'll back up for 1 second, but about 3.5, 4 years ago, again, I've been doing YouTube for close to 8 years at the time, consistently, and we were doing all right, but I never looked at it as a business, you know what I mean? And don't get me wrong, see, there's business and then there's pleasure side. I do it because I love it, but then I also want to look at it as a business, right? And up until 3-4 years ago, I never looked at it as a business. I just looked at it as, well, it's supporting my business. I'm having a good time. I'm educating people. And then about 4 years ago, I started like hanging around some 20-year-old YouTubers, and they taught me so much. I mean, it's weird that a guy my age can go and learn as much as I can from a 20-year-old YouTuber, and they're the ones that taught me to look at it differently. And when I started to look at YouTube the way they looked at YouTube, that's when my channel became very successful, and I really credit every single one of those people for continuing to help me to have gotten me where I am today, and hopefully will in the future.
What was that vision shift?
Well, I think
what was that key that you?
I think the vision shift was to not look at it as like to start looking professionally at everything I did, from content to the way I promoted myself to
Like
being
monetization and stuff.
and how to make the right monetization. We all went through ad apocalypse. I wasn't very affected by it because we don't swear in our videos. We don't do things that would, although a snake bite me and I'm bleeding, which you think is maybe adult content, we don't get demonetized.
Yeah, I see on your arms.
Yeah, we got scratches and we got
I want to ask you about that too.
Well, there's always like dings all over me, but that's part of it. But I think there's that, and also you never want to be as an influencer. This is the other thing is you got to remember. Philip DeFranco told me this, and by the way, Phil was the first guy I ever subscribed to on YouTube.
He's been around.
Very first guy I ever subscribed to was Philip DeFranco. So getting a chance to meet him and get to know him was such a pleasure for me. And he is the exact guy you think he would be. Super inquisitive, super polite, super just very intelligent guy, analyzes everything. He's exactly who you want to be. So I couldn't have been more pleased to get to know him for who he is. But he told me, and this is a little bit of advice for anyone that wants to do this for a living, never use your CPM as your main income. Because
that's like the AdSense.
Yeah, the AdSense for you share with YouTube, because you have no control over it, right? YouTube can change the demonetization. They can change everything. Not that they're trying out to get us. I don't believe YouTube is out to get us. I think it's a great platform. I love being a YouTuber, but you have little control. So if you can use other ways of monetizing your videos, and if the CPM goes great, which in our case has been awesome, that's awesome. But you don't want to, put your future into that, right? So Phil talked about things like Patreon, merch sales, brand deals, so on like that, and those are things that
YouTube just put a sponsor button beta out too.
Yeah, we actually got it. Yeah, we got invited to it. Yeah,
so I just got that one, so it's cool. It's like Patreon built in.
Right. Yeah,
so
it's like which is
they're not
great.
out to get us in a way,
right?
But like I agree. I always say for every $1 you would make off of ad revenue, you should try to make like $5 on your
other things. Yeah, and that's whether that's a brand deal, whether that's a merch sale, whether that's outside stuff like the Patreon or now the sponsor tab on YouTube. These are all things that we do, and Phil has been probably the leader in that world, right? For years, Philip has basically said, I'm not going to rely on YouTube to make my money, and I'm sure he's making great money on YouTube, but he doesn't care if a video gets demonetized because he doesn't need to get it. He's got 15,000 patrons, I mean, he's probably making $100,000 a month on Patreon alone, let alone his merch. I bet you he's making at least another $100,000 a month on merch.
Yeah, the merch, like you said with Logan Paul.
Yeah, Logan Paul was doing almost $1 million a month in merch.
Yeah.
That's, think about that.
Yeah.
22-year-old guy making $1 million a month in merch.
Insane.
So good on him. And I know a lot of people hate him because he's successful and because he's over the top on things, but you got to respect what he's done, regardless.
When I was 22, I don't remember.
Yeah. Could
I'm
you
25,
imagine?
but like when I was 22, I was working retail.
Can you imagine that, being 22 and making the money? And like I said, so if you don't like him, it doesn't matter, but you got to respect what he's done and the pressure that him, and not only him, but many other guys do. David just turned 22 as well.
Crazy,
just turned 22, and these guys are just living. They're dominating, and so they inspire me every day. They inspire me to be better than I am and to understand things. And the monetary side is just a benefit to it. It's not what drives you. If you're driven by the money, you'd never do this. There's no way you'd wake up in the morning and want to vlog through 618 days in a row just for the money. It would be ridiculous. It's that you're super passionate, you love sharing it. And I'm very fortunate because my community is really great on YouTube. We have an amazing family. Hardly ever get a negative comment on the platform. That's not to say there's not negatives outside the platform, but we're really, really lucky. So I feel like it's a family. And I know Casey Neistat once said that you get addicted to the upload button, and I think that's where I'm at. I'm addicted. I have to every morning. I can't wait to upload. Hit that live button, publish button, and spend the first hour of that video just commenting back to people. And then later in the day, I usually spend another half hour, 45 minutes. And then at night, I spend usually a half hour, 45 minutes commenting back to people. And I love it. I love reading. I love to get to know. There's people on my platform that have been commenting to me for a year now every day. And it's like I feel like I know them. I've never talked to them. I've never met them. I don't, but it feels like they're my family. And I think that's what drives you. But at the same time, there's nothing wrong with being passionate about something and want to making money off
Absolutely.
of it. Nothing wrong
You
with
have
that.
to have a foundation under you to be
Right.
able to.
Yeah, and why wouldn't you? I mean, it's the American dream, right? To be able to do what you love and make the money, you know.
Absolutely.
And so if you're smart about it, you can do both.
Yeah.
And that's what I've tried to do, and that's why these kids have taught me so much, is because they've taught me that it isn't just one or the other. You can do both. You can be passionate. You can do this thing. Because, again, for 8 years when I did Snake Bites, I never pulled $1, not $1. When I made money, I just buy new lenses or new cameras. Or, I felt like it's almost like I felt like I couldn't take money because I'm like, well, then it wouldn't be pure. And then when I got with these guys, 4 years ago, I started realizing, wait a second, there's nothing wrong with making money off this. I'm doing something hard. People are getting, the only thing that it's costing my viewers is to watch a 10-second ad or a 15-second ad. Other than that, it doesn't cost them anything else. So why wouldn't I want to make money? It's I'm providing something that hopefully is inspirational to people, and I deserve to make some money on it. And as long as that's not my motivation, behind doing it.
Yeah, that's such a great point to bring up, and all those things we brought up. Like, there's pages I know, like you said, Phil DeFranco, that they don't even monetize. They don't even turn monetization on their videos because they have so much Patreon support and all this other stuff. But you bring up something that I think is a very key, important thing that I've been meaning to try to bring up more in my podcast episodes is like drive and motivation, because it may seem like what you're doing is all fun and games and family and friendly and fun, but like you said, you record all day, you upload all your own videos, and when you're on daily, that means like you got to be on schedule. Sleep is probably tight. So for me, I find that my biggest motivations come from like the friction between what I feel like I'm capable of and deserving of. Like you said, you deserve to chase this and make money, versus how the world actually sees me at the current point in time. And so like that friction causes me to want to go out and put the work in and show and prove. And what drives you? Is there something, is there like a struggle from your childhood, or is there like something that you're out to prove, combined with passion? Like it's not the chip on my shoulder, but is there something you could speak to?
Well, listen, I think that we all have pathologies, right? We're always chasing some dream, or we're running from some demon. You know what I mean? It's like those are the two things that are happening, or both, right? And I think it is both for me. I'm chasing the dream because I have this weird idea in my head that I can make a difference. That's what gets me up in the morning. I want to make a difference. Whatever that means. I want to make someone's day happy. I want them to put a smile on their face because of something I did. I want them to love animals because of something they've seen with me. One of the things that drives me more than anything, and I get comments every single day this way, they say, I used to hate snakes until I found you, and now I think they're amazing. Or someone will say, when I saw a snake, I would kill it. Now I don't. These are things that drive me. And then there's the other side, the demons that you chase. That do you think you're good enough? Do you think that you're deserving enough? You've got to prove to yourself that you are that good. That you're probably not deserving of millions of people following you, and you're not deserving of this. And so you're trying to continue to prove to yourself that yes, I am. Yes, I am. And that is a demon. I mean, I'll never get past that demon. I don't think I'll ever understand fully why I've been successful in certain things, but that's okay. It gives me that edge, you know what I mean? And then I think that, as you get older, you do find a way to start feeling more comfortable with things. I mean, when I was younger, I was so involved in the chase that I oftentimes didn't live my life. You know what I mean? I was chasing more than I was living. Now I try to live, and like I said, going back to what I said a little bit earlier, to me, the vlog is therapeutic, right? So the vlog to me, like I had mentioned, is the best version of me. And that's what I aspire to be. I aspire to be the guy that I am in the vlog, and I try to live my life like that guy, because that's the most genuine way of who I am, So what I try to do is I try to take all of the bad parts of my life away, and I only try to show the best lives. And then by doing that, it makes me live the life without the bad parts. Mm-hmm. And so it's great for me. It's super therapeutic for me. And then I think the motivation on top of it is I've always been a guy that believes you just outwork everybody, right? I always tell people, if you're willing to sacrifice and outwork everyone else, you will be successful. It doesn't mean I would have been successful on YouTube, doesn't mean I'd be successful on social, but I knew I'd be successful in life if I was willing to sacrifice more than my competitors, right? I was always willing to do things, and that's kind of, basically the dynamic is that I was the first snake show on YouTube. I was the first guy on YouTube that did snakes. Now there's hundreds and hundreds, maybe even thousands of people that do a YouTube show about snakes. So I decided I have to be the first daily vlogger, that did snakes. I had to be the first reptile/animal daily vlogger. I'm assuming that there's been a handful of people that have tried and just can't, the longevity. They get 10 days, 15, 20 days in, and they just go, I can't keep up,
Mm-hmm.
So, but I'm assuming one day, I don't know when, maybe soon, maybe a year or 2 years, someone's going to step up and they're going to be the next animal daily vlogger.
Yeah.
And then I have to up my game again.
Mm-hmm.
Then I have to do the next thing that they aren't willing to sacrifice for, and I don't know what that is. I've thought about, doing more virtual reality stuff. We've talked about podcasting. I'm very passionate about that. I want to start a podcast.
Zoos
we got the zoo stuff that we're doing. I mean, we've got a lot going on. I mean, there's a, more than most people can ever imagine in my life, because like I said, I run a big reptile company. I'm opening up zoos that I'm hoping to franchise. We're actually in the talks with the city of Detroit about potential serpentarium in the future. I run a product company, reptile product company called Reptile Prime. I also have a multitude of other products that are non-animal related that I develop and patent and produce for outside the animal world. Life is so special, obviously I do all the YouTube stuff. I want to start a podcast. I want to get my first channel really rolling again. There's so many opportunities, and I think that what drives me and what continues to fuel me is all the support I get. You know what I mean? It's like all those people. This is the thing that I don't think people understand when you're a YouTuber, is how important their role is. Their role of liking, commenting, supporting you really allows us to do what we love, right? Mm-hmm. If it wasn't for my supporters, my viewers, my audience, I couldn't do the things I love. And I don't know that they understand how important that is. You know what I mean? They may just think, hey, I'm just watching a YouTube video, but it's way more than that. We're in it together, and don't get me wrong, I mean, obviously there's support in all different ways, not just watching, Patreon and buying merch and all that stuff. That helps too. That's a huge, that's the financial aspect of it all. But just the eyeballs and that stuff. I mean, I wake up in the morning. I personally, one of the very first things I do in the morning is start reading YouTube comments from overnight.
Yeah,
that inspires
too.
me. That inspires me to get up and to go attack the world, and so I don't know that I could achieve the things I'm doing if it wasn't for the support group I have. Yeah. If that makes sense.
Yeah. There's so many different factors, like you said, and we're complex and life is complex. Yeah. So, but I think you said a lot of inspiring stuff there that I'm soaking in as well.
Well, good.
Because that's another thing. I'm here to learn just as much as everyone listening. So, there's so much more that we could talk about. Like you have so many different businesses going on in such a long career that there could be an hour episode for each different segment and aspect, but I think we have touched on a lot in this one. I kind of want to wrap it up here by letting you touched on it a little bit, but first I want to ask, so what's in the future for you? Like you said, maybe starting zoos and different podcasts and different things. What can someone expect if they're new to your channel? They're just subscribing now going forward.
Well, it's going to be a wild ride. It's going to be going to have to buckle up, because I always say I'm a creative tornado, right? I mean, I don't rest. I don't want to rest. I don't want to stop. What's in the future? God only knows, man. I mean, I literally follow my passion, and I follow things. Like you mentioned, I'm really excited to be opening up a little local zoo here in Detroit, Michigan suburb, and then hopefully franchise them across the country over the next several years. media stuff, I'm still super passionate about all avenues, whether it be YouTube or traditional media or even self-funded documentaries. I did one a couple years ago in Africa that I loved, and I want to do more of those. Definitely want to do a podcast here coming. Again, I think that what people will take more than anything is I could talk about all those accomplishments and the animals and all this stuff, but I hope what people want, what I really want, Justin, is I want people that say, I don't even like snakes, but I want to watch that guy. That's what I want. Yeah. That's why, because I want people to walk away from my vlog and not think, oh, well, that's the snake guy. I want someone to walk away from that vlog going, man, I feel fired up. I feel inspired. I feel like I can go, and that's what you can expect more than anything. Yeah, you're going to learn about snakes and you're going to learn about animals, but I hope that you learn about the fact that if you follow your dreams and you go after what you believe, no matter what people... I mean, listen, who in the heck thinks you could make a living breeding snakes, for gosh sakes? No one thought I could do it. I didn't listen. I knew I wanted to, and I pushed forward. So I'm hoping that's what people will take from me, and that's what they'll see in the future.
Yeah, and now you've built something amazing. We have life all around us. Yeah. So I'll leave all of his links to everything in the description, everywhere you can find him. Also, just like for anyone that might be listening to this recently, if you happen to be in the local area, like Michigan preferably, or even if not, you are looking for some editing help to help on some channels. Yeah. Just throwing it out there if anyone made it this far.
If someone wants to join the team, I mean, as it's always a dream, just someone that wants to get involved, jump in to videos that are going to get millions of views. I mean, you can be a part of our project. I've got so many ideas and so many things, and I'm only one person. Yeah. So now I need some more help, not for the daily vlog. That'll always be me, but for some other projects on a channel that already has over 700,000 subscribers. I want to roll out some new projects on that channel. So like if anyone wants to join up, definitely hit me up.
Cool. Yeah. So if anyone listened this far, they're probably a thorough type of person. So figure out how to reach out, say if you're an editor or whatever. But last thing before we hit the stop recording button, I just want to end it off with, here you are now, so far into this journey. Like you mentioned earlier, you were just a kid kind of keeping it under wraps that you're breeding snakes, in the 90s. What would you now tell yourself if you could be like a fly on the wall type yourself when you're just getting just starting, dabbling and breeding snakes? Like, what would you tell yourself? What piece of advice or just anything?
I would totally want to continue to tell myself to have confidence. Never waver. Never doubt yourself. Never think that you can't do it. Over the career that I've had, there's been lots of ups and downs, and there's been times I've questioned and second guessed myself and said, is this really what I should do? I was going to school for microbiology, and now I'm, doing this, and is it the right thing? And I think that the advice I'd have for anyone is that, and certainly the younger me, is don't ever waver, man. Don't believe in yourself, man. Just push forward. Doesn't mean it's going to be easy, because it's not easy. If it was easy, everyone would do it. But I would tell myself to just keep pushing. It's going to be okay. And you got to remember, it is about the journey. It's never about the destination. Mm-hmm. I mean, you've got to enjoy your life. I will trade in every dollar that I ever made just for the life experiences I've had. I've been able to do things that have been the most amazing things on the planet, and the money never meant anything, and it never will mean anything. And so I would tell myself, don't give up. Don't let society, don't let family, don't let friends tell you that you need to give up. Because, follow that dream. And when you get there, even if listen, I will never get to my destination, ever. My destination will never find me, because I will always keep pushing it off, and I'll enjoy every moment, and I will enjoy the journey. And that's really the advice not only I'd give my younger self, but every single person that's still listening at this point.
Beautiful. I could cry. That was beautiful. Thank you so much, Brian. Thank you everyone for listening. Like I said, links and everything in the description, and we'll see you in the next episode.
Awesome. Good stuff. That was awesome. Oh, cool. No, we had a blast. Really, this was super fun.
There's so many great snippets.
Oh, yeah. Well, I love it, man. I have